Well, hey, friends, the Fan Show guys with me here for TexAgs Rewind, presented by our good friends at Yeti. Hello, gentlemen. Kelly Adams, Matt Browning.
Morning.
So we didn't really get to talk football on the show. We ran out of time. I know you both have a hot sports take when it comes to football. Give me just a football thought.
Love it. It's awesome.
It's a great sport.
It's the best. It's my favorite.
I was thinking more Aggie football related, but it's fine.
Hey, I want to see the comments on whether or not the USFL is real football. If you've seen those commercials, where they're advertising that real football is coming back in a couple of weeks because the USFL is playing.
You didn't get anything that you wanted out of that, did you?
No, I got nothing.
You want a hot sport takes on the Aggies? I think Petrino's going to call plays and Jimbo's going to let him do it. That's my call.
Hope so.
I hope so too.
We got some newcomers coming in that look really exciting.
Yeah, the spring ball started this week, so we're talking about that on the program. OB on the show with our quarterback one, that'd be QB1, Stephen McGee. Appreciate him. Coach Schloss getting us ready for the Tennessee series for A&M baseball. We had Aaron Torres talking about the NCAA tournament. Yeah, it's still going on. Even though the Aggies are out, it's still going on. And then we had a little dugout chat with our buddy Will Johnston, closer for the Aggies, who's looked really, really good. That and more. It is TexAgs Rewind.
So my bullcrap this week, I got a phone call about, a month and a half ago from Ross Bajork, and he said, hey, I got a favor. I need you to quarterback this congressional football game that they have at Kyle Field. And so I said, sure, I'll do that. And so that football game was yesterday. Well, I hadn't heard anything from the representatives. And so I pinged him like, hey, is this football game still on? And finally hear back, and I had been politician by politician, so to speak. I got benched. So here I am in my illustrious career. But not only did I get benched, I get benched by a no-namer that's about, 12 years older than me. And so they were kindly like, hey, if you want to show up, you can throw it around a little bit. And I was like, I'm a kindly buy off. But that's not my bullcrap. All right. My bullcrap is that I had bowed out of the Dell match play. I got an invite yesterday to go to the Dell match play, and I had canceled so that I could be at this quarterbacking event. I figured that my friends at TexAgs would enjoy the fact that I got benched.
Well,
I'm not enjoying that.
I'm
outraged.
Yes, we're about to do fake outrage on the radio.
This isn't fake.
So
I was ready, you guys. I was so ready. I researched which politicians I liked their policy. I didn't like their policy. I was ready to gun it in on the ones I didn't like. Arm was moved up. I went last week to the little middle school field and threw it around a little bit. I was ready to go.
Did they give you a reason why you were benched by a guy who's older than you?
Another, I guess, a state representative had reached out to some guy and asked him to play as well. And I don't know.
Some guy.
I say it in kind-heartedness. I'm not really that.
No,
upset.
you can't big time a big timer.
No,
he's a big.
Yeah,
he got played for the Dallas freaking Cowboys.
Well, he's really been a super consistent, mature guy since he's been on campus. He threw a lot in high school, a lot of innings, which I think drove him down. By the end of the year, his velocity wasn't what we had seen when we recruited him, and certainly what we see now. And so I think now that he's in a more consistent routine, and he's always been a strike thrower and super competitive guy, mature beyond his years. He's the model of what you kind of like Prager was last year, the guy that can handle pitching in the biggest moments, as we've seen, like closing the game against Texas Tech and giving us big innings last week against LSU. So my only concern is that this college baseball season is really tough, especially on a freshman pitcher. So just want to be careful with him, but we don't really have any choice. And so it's when you don't have many choices, you don't have many problems. That's what Coach Box likes to tell me. So we'll run him out there this weekend, and I'm sure he's going to do great.
Coach, to make that move, obviously you have to take Chris Cortez out of the rotation. So I'm curious, what was that conversation like with him? How has Chris taken it? And what do you see his role as moving forward coming out of the bullpen?
Yeah, well, first of all, the conversation went great. I think Chris is a really self-aware guy. He's a team guy. He's a future leader in this program. He leads in his own way right now. I just said, hey, we have a chance to get a little bit better in the rotation and get better in the bullpen. And I've had a lot of current major league pitchers or future major league pitchers that scuffled a little bit in a starting role. We put them in the bullpen to give them a chance to A, help the team, and B, help themselves.
But also cool to see the SEC representing.
Yeah, and I was wondering about that from your guys' perspective. Listen, I think what this speaks to, David, and it's something I know that I've talked about for years, and I'm sure you and I have talked about it at some point. It's the commitment that this league made about 7-8 years ago when the SEC Network first came about to having a good basketball product. We know the history of SEC basketball. We don't have to repeat it. But when Texas A&M came into this league and they started the SEC Network, Mike Sly famously told all his ADs, hey, we have a lot of programming to fill in the winter months, and I can't have 2 NCAA tournament teams or Kentucky and everybody else. And you look at the commitment that these schools have made, Arkansas bringing in Musselman, Rick Barnes. I know he's had his shortcomings in the tournament, but is a very accomplished head coach. Obviously, Bruce Pearl, Buzz Williams is a perfect example of all this. And I think we're seeing the effects on it. Now, I'll also say this. For people who do love college basketball, I think we're also seeing the reverse effect somewhere else where you look at the ACC, Duke first-year head coach out of the tournament. North Carolina, second-year head coach, didn't make the tournament. Syracuse now is going into a first-year head coaching situation. Louisville, first-year head coach, didn't make the tournament. It's like, I will say, like, I do think, you have to put your money where your mouth is in college sports. And we've talked about it from the football perspective a million times, but from the basketball perspective, the SEC has made a conscious commitment as a league across the board to commit to this sport. And I'll tell you this, David, I don't just think it's the NCAA tournament. Watching games this year and seeing Reed Arena packed, seeing what Bud Walton has become again, seeing what Knoxville is like for a big game, seeing even some of these other programs arrive this year, Mississippi State, Missouri, how great those crowds have been. Again, I think it's a league-wide effort and a league-wide commitment, and I give credit so much to Mike Slive originally and obviously Greg Sankey for helping see it through.
Those moments, you kind of get comfortable with them through time, I would say. Flashback to when I was a freshman or a sophomore, even last year in the beginning of the season, I was extremely nervous in those moments, and I actually kind of surprised myself with the level of comfort I've developed in those spots where it's, hey man, it's not about the situation or who you're facing or anything like that or the score. It's just about going out and making your pitch. And as far as the turnaround, I wasn't as sharp as I would have liked to have been last night, but whatever we need, I'm looking to be able to do that.
Is there dialogue leading up to it, letting Coach Yeski know and Schloss know how you're feeling leading up to a moment like that?
Yeah, no doubt. You talking about just being able to go back-to-back days. So Coach Schloss, I don't think he didn't really have me on the roster card against U of H and then again last night, and it was one of those things where it's like he's got 26 guys on there, and I went and looked at it, and I was okay, so he's waiting for me to say something. And if I felt good, which I did the last 2 weeks out, I go to him. I say, hey, Coach, if you need, I've got you. And, things didn't go as planned last night, and I think they went a lot better last week against U of H. But I felt good both times out, and it's just that constant communication with Coach, letting him know.
When you're grooving like you were, outside of a little mishap yesterday, outside of that, you've been on this hot streak. How does it feel when you step on the mound? Is it kind of a different vibe to it, or is it the same?
It feels good. It's, the more you go, the more confident you get, and it's just kind of a belief in yourself that you kind of develop, and that's something I've struggled with through, my career here at A&M, and I've really started to kind of thrive, and, the end of last year and into this year is just trying to carry that forward. It's just the confidence of knowing I belong and knowing what I do is pretty special, and I don't have to be more than that.
All right, gentlemen, how do you want to close it out?
Like, share, subscribe, comment.
I still want to see the USFL comments.
Click the notification bell so you never miss a TexAgs Rewind. And I think the Will Johnston thing, I think you need to do more of those.
I'm going to start doing more of those.
I think that was cool.
I enjoyed
Is this like the Jay Billis 94 feet sort of thing?
It's just him.
Except it's Nuno in the dugout?
It's Nuno wherever he needs to be.
That's going to be the series. Where's Nuno? He's here, right?
Yeah.
By the way,
Nuno?
people were giving me a hard time for tight sleeves yesterday, but Kelly, I see your guns today. The guns are popping in the 12 shirt.
It's been a while since anybody said that to me.
He wasn't trying to do it.
It just happens.
I mean, he didn't shop at
It's just
Bam
natural.
Gap.
Some guys are naturally strong.
Well,
That's what it is.
It's all the lighting.
It's
Thank
an
you.
Old man strength.
Old man strength.
We'll talk to you guys next time.